A very good afternoon to everyone. I, Dr. Kapil Dev, faculty member from Department of Commerce, Goswami Ganesh Datta Sanathan College, Chandigarh. Welcome to all of you on the valedictory session and concluding day of workshop on structure equation modeling. Briefly, this workshop started on 2nd of March and up till today, we have learned so many tools about structure equation modeling and we all got benefited from. Sir, am I audible?
Sir, you are audible.
Right. Thank you, Pooja ma'am. So, this workshop was running from 2nd of March up till today, and in collaboration with Business Research Plasma, where Dr. Rishira Sharma handled this workshop. And today we are at the conclusion of this workshop. Many research scholars, many faculty members attended this workshop and got benefited from this workshop. So at this concluding ceremony, we have among us Professor Rakesh Kumar Gupta, Vice Chancellor, Maharaja Agrawal University. Sir, I welcome you, and I will request now Principal Sir Dr. Ajay Sharma to formally welcome VC Sir and introduce.
Well, for all of us, Professor R.K. Gupta is very near and dear. And because from our own stream and having such a long tenure from Punjab University and then in Maharaja Agrawal University, I know most of us are either students or has sought guidance of Professor R.K. Gupta a number of times, and always helpful. And whenever you find any problem, you can just call him and he has a solution for it. And I know he has done a number of social work also. And when I happened to visit his university, Maharaja Agrawal University, I got to know about from the faculty members that how lively he is and managing the affairs of university without any pressure or any stress. It is a remarkable that an administrator, a researcher with such a long term of standing is with us today with his, to share the word of wisdom. Sir, we started up this workshop in online mode because classes are going on in the morning. So we decided let's have in the afternoon. And willingly, we decided that we should not increase the number of participants to beyond the manageable limit. Because when we are having research center now and we are having certain other faculty members who are also not part of the research center, but they need to learn about the methodology and everything. We requested Professor Rishi Raj. He is now at Guru Nanak Dev University Regional Center, Gurdaspur, to help us in this organizing the workshop. Professor Rishi Raj has gracefully helped us in arranging the faculty members in this field. We got Professor Aman Jyot Singh, Dr. Atul Shiva, Dr. Sandeep, Dr. Jeevan Jyoti from Punjab University Patiala, from Jammu University, from Chandigarh University. They are different persons who have not only discussed about SEM, structural equation modeling, but also gave their own research paper that how the problem was identified, how data was collected, how SEM was imposed, and how we can have the better publication in international journal. Because this is something which at the time we started publication, we were not aware of, or rather there was no policy at that time of the UGC to have international publication or having publication care listed journal also. But today our research scholars are facing these issues where we are talking about citations, we are talking about different type of the international journals. So having the knowledge of the softwares and recent publication trends is very much important. So we kept this for a longer duration so that some hand holding can also be done. And more than that, important thing is that we have some networking these days. Collaborative research work has become the need of the hour, and particularly when we are working in interdisciplinary areas. So keeping that in mind, we have not restricted it from only to the commerce students. Even the person from IT is there, person from sciences are there. And it was certainly a very learning experience for all of us. And particularly Professor Rishi Raj has coordinated all the efforts, and he was in regular touch with the participants also. So working beyond the hours to help all of us. So we have made it beginning. Hopefully, after some time, we will be having some feedback sessions, looking at to what extent our research scholars are in position to utilize whatever they have done and how their publication has actually improved. So rest of the participant will share with you what are their experiences. But naturally, it is a new technology these days. New softwares are coming, new challenges are coming. And we are trying to facilitate, and hopefully that all the participants must have learned a lot out of this workshop. Welcome to Professor Rishi Raj, who has just joined. Kapil, you can continue with the session. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining.
So now I will request Rakesh Gupta sir to share his words with the participants, and participants sir are very keen to interact with you, to learn from you also. So I will request you to share your words of wisdom with these participants, and I would also be coordinating with you with the PPT that you have already shared with us. Right.
Thank you, Dr. Kapil. First of all, I am very thankful to Dr. Ajay Sharma, principal of the college, for giving me an opportunity to discuss my experiences in this area. I congratulate the School of the management of the SD College, and especially the principal, to taken an initiative to conduct this 9 days online workshop on structural equation modeling. And as you have informed, that SD College has been recognized as one of the research center for doing PhD in the area of management. I think some other areas are also. So I congratulate the principal on this aspect also. And I would, whenever there is any need for any services or any support from my side, I will always be ready to support you in this regard. Now, what we find, I am not going to discuss any such from the books. Friends, I would like to share my experiences. Till date, I might have evaluated, awarded more than 100 PhD theses of different universities. What we find, the level of the PhD varies from university to university. I am very hesitant to say that even very good reputed universities, when we receive their PhD thesis, they are not up to the mark. But one reason or the other, we award them, sometimes we revise them, sometimes we reject them, but it all depends upon the research supervisor. Now, what we find today, that no research is complete without the application of statistical tools. Earlier, when we have done our PhD in 1990, the tools were very limited. There was no computers. We have to do all the software with our small calculators. Even there was no typewriters. We have to do the typings on the typewriter. If there's one mistake or two mistakes in the page, whole of the pages were cut off. But now, whole of this PhD process has become very simple and easy. Now, what we find, this topic, I'm not going to cover on the structural equation modeling. As Dr. Ajay has told, that this topic has been covered in extensive, in detail during this 9 days workshop. Now, let me share my experiences on different fields. Let me start my presentation and I will cover my points along with the headings. Dr. Kapil, you can start the presentations. Next. Yes. Just 1 minute. I will just cover in brief, just one line. What is the concept of research? What are the objectives of research? What are the different types of research? What is the research process? How to write research papers? And what is the plagiarism and its consequences? Next. When we talk about the research, is an organized and systematic way of finding answers to many questions. Next, what is organized? When we say there is a structure or method for pursuing a research. It is a planned procedure, not a spontaneous one. It is focused and limited to a specific scope. But what we find today, that sometime I'm here from the last 6 years, students from different disciplines, those who are in the service, they come, sir, we want to do PhD. When we ask them on what areas, that we have not think of. You tell us. So it is very difficult. They say it is a planned procedure. You have to make up your mind on which area you want to do the PhD. What will be scope? What you want to cover? Next. Because there is a definite set of procedure and steps which you will have to follow to complete the PhD process. There are certain things in the research process which are always done in order to get the most accurate results. Next. Now the findings is the end of the research. Whether it is the answer to a hypothesis or even a simple question, and research is just successful when we find answers. But sometimes the answer is no, but still it is an answer. Let me share with you here some of the experiences. Today, what is happening in the society? In every university, every teacher wants to do PhD. After doing the PhD, that result or the thesis is typed and kept in the library, especially in our social sciences. When we talk about our medicine sciences, there is a research. They come out with certain objectives. They come out with a research which is applicable in the practical industries. But in our social sciences, 90 or 80% of the researches, they are just theoretical. We never find any research, very rare, where the implications or the suggestions given by the researcher, they are applied in the actual industry or in the corporate world. So when we are doing a PhD or the research, please be sure, try to get the answers in a way that is applicable in the society. So that is need of the hour in the present system. But our objective is only to get PhD degree, type it, put it in the library, that's all. So we have to think on this issue very seriously. Next. So what is the objective of the research? Either you achieve new insights into an unexplored area. There are a large number of unexplored areas where we have not done the research. To know about the existing problems, to know the extent of a cause and effect variables on which you are applying this model which you have studied, to establish the relationship between the variables, again, on which this model is applied. When we talk to the industries, when we have interaction with PhD Chamber of Commerce or ICSC or so many other government officials, they say we have large number of projects, but the academicians, they are not approaching to the government. If the academicians, they approach to the government, we can give them the ideas on which research can be carried out. We can help them financial assistance. So this is where the interaction of the academia with the industry is required, where we can find out an unexplored area on which research is still to be done. Because most of the time, now suppose in one university, there are say 50 seats. it will be very difficult for a student now to find 50 topics in one area of management or commerce. They are doing repetitions, like say the first topic, first objective is to find out the, first step is to find out the title of the objectives, title of the thesis. What they are doing is, suppose one topic, one has taken work-life balance, one has taken a doctors, other will take engineers, other will take teachers, fourth will take banks, fifth will take transport employees. Like this, the same topic will continue for different sort sectors of the economy. Similarly, if one takes brand marketings of the customer, one take FMCG goods, some take other goods. Same type of, some takes in Haryana state, some take Punjab, some take Himachal. So this type of repetitions are going on. So we have to find out certain unexplored areas on which research is still to be done. There are a large number of topics on which the government is doing the surveys, where academicians can be joined together for doing further research. Next. There are different types of research. I am not covering upon this. Basic research, applied research, next. Then empirical research, qualitative research about which I am talking, that is qualitative aspects are considered. Next. Then quantitative research on which most of the studies are done. Then longitude research. Again, this is a spread over a long period of time. When we talk about the population surveys, when we talk about habits of the people, how they have changed, regarding this voting system which is going on, customer attitude, how they are changing over a period of years, then this type of studies are considered. Next. So these are the research process which we have to follow. Selection of the topic. This is the major problem in the current scenario of the selection of the topic, because number one, all the PhD theses now they have to put on the Shodhganga. And if any topic or the research is already done, then there will be a problem for the researcher at the later stage. So the selection of the topic, I just give you one or two examples. Recently, I was a member of some research board. It is just 10 days back. And the candidate had presented a synopsis. I am just putting the topic, psychological capital in relation to select job stress and well-being, a study on academicians of universities in Haryana. Now, when we discuss this topic with the candidates, number one, the concept of psychological capital is a new concept, which is not a well-recognized concept. So, second problem is the candidate was in the research methodology was selecting a topic of government universities only. So when we discuss with the candidate about this topic, because in government universities, the stress is very less. If we take private universities, then there can be a stress which can be studied because there's a lot of difficulties in the private sector. The main problem when the board of studies, research board was sitting, main problem was psychological capital. It is not a recognized concept in the management. Still, it is underdeveloped stage. So the topic of the candidate was not accepted for PhD process. Similarly, there was another candidate. I'm telling you the problems which the candidate has to find when they're submitting the topics. Adoption and management of online teaching in the modern era, and academic analysis of higher education institutions of Haryana. When we talk about, when we look into the objectives of the studies and the research methodology, the candidate of the management department is studying the online system education. There was no concept of management, and the PhD he want to do in the area of management. Secondly, this online concept is a new concept which has just come from the last 2 years. we could not find much of the data which are available on these areas. And then there are certain other lacunas in the objectives of the study. Again, this topic was not accepted by the research board. Similarly, one more example I give you. A candidate has taken a study, an empirical study of service quality, satisfaction, and loyalty, with special reference to liquid petroleum gas problems in residential sectors of Haryana. Now, when we discuss this problem, we ask him, what is the ratio of this the different gas companies? What we find, the most of the 60 or 70% of the gas companies are Indian oil companies. The rest is BPL or other companies. And the limited choice is available with the customer to change or switch over from one to another. Again, this topic was rejected on the ground that this concept of service quality will not apply in this case of gas petroleum companies. And because this is just a title, but this title has to be related with the objectives of the study. So this selection of the topic is very, very important topic when we want to do any of this PhD process. Then again, one more topic I just tell you, perception of women investors and retailers towards impact of GST and COVID-19 on gold investment in Haryana. They want to study what is the effect of GST on the purchasing of the gold by the women. And the customer which they were taking, they were mostly, you can say, women of working women with a salary of 25,000, 30,000 and so on. When we discuss this issue, number one, it is very difficult to study what is the effect of GST on the buying of the gold. Buying of the gold is totally different as compared to the stock markets and so many other factors. When we discuss this topic again, this topic was again not approved by the research board due to certain other limitations. So what I want to tell you, that selection of the topic is very, very important, which is linked with the review of literature. Before you select any topic, maximum time you should devote on the review of literature. From where you will come to know what is the research gap. Accordingly, you select the topic. But what happens? The reverse. Student first decide the topic. They do limited review of literature, prepare the objective, research methodology, and submit the same. Without going into detail, what difficulty they are going to face after selection of the topic when they have to fill the questionnaire. Who are their respondents? Either they will give the reply or not. Sometimes they take a topic in which they take the top corporate CEOs. Now, CEOs are not possible to, they are not going to provide you the data. There are certain government officials which they are not providing the data. Later on, they have to change the topic or they have to change the objectives. So what I want to say, that before selection of topic, devote maximum time on review of literature. The more the time you will devote on review of literature, the more simple will be your PhD process. It will be easy for you to frame the objectives and what research methodology you have to apply in the later on after 1 or 2 years, that will become simple. So my advice is, please do maximum review of literatures. Then this development of theoretical conceptual frameworks, clarification of research questions. Again, when we decide the objective of the study, then comes the questionnaire part. What I have find, sometimes the student prepare a questions and they prepare all these data are filled. When they come for analysis, they find there's a gap. In the sense, the objectives are not properly covered in the questionnaire. So please be sure that questionnaire which you have to frame, that must link with the objectives of the study. that must be linked with statistical tools you have to apply later on, that must be clearly laid down in advance. Accordingly, research questionnaires should be framed. And then what we find, sometime in the PhD thesis, the question is different and the table which they prepare is totally different. They does not match which is the other. Suppose they write the income from 25 to 50,000. In the table, there's no column of 25 to 50,000. And like on, there are so many mismatch between the questionnaire and the table which they actually prepare. So please be sure when you're writing a PhD thesis, that must match with your questionnaires. And the questionnaire must match with your objectives. It must match with the statistical tools which you have to apply later on. So it is just like you must consult the doctor first, your statistician or your consultant to whom you have to take the advice for applicable of the statistical tool. You take him advice first before drafting the questionnaire. And then all this data collection, data analysis, again, that will depend upon the statistical tools. Next. Next. Kapil, next. So this we have already covered. Next. Next, please. Now, review of literature is a very important aspect I have already discussed with you. Next slide. Just this. Now, what is the importance? Now, what is happening in the market today? There is a lot of research data is available. The question is either it is reliable or not. So, broaden your knowledge base, the research area, understand the research design, results and limitations of the kind of research you are conducting, and find information from questionnaire design. Next. Next. Leave it. Go further. Leave it. Just proceed further. Next. Now, just please. Now, how to select the articles? Either you have to select the reputation of the author, or you have to decide upon the reputation of the journals. Depending upon this, your review of literature will be decided. If you take ordinary journals, like Dr. Rajay was telling, UGC Care, Scopus, index journals, those who have values, that should be considered, and not the local, this article which are published by local colleges or which are not ISN number, which are not referred. This type of journals should be avoided. We should not rely upon this type of journal if they are not referred, if they are not ISIN or all these things. Next. So you have to consider who wrote it and why did they write, where was it published and how was it reviewed, when was it published. Sometimes we refer the old data, especially in the case of law department, law cases, PhD. You have to refer the latest Supreme Court decisions. If you refer any old cases of the high courts, the different high courts, that will not serve your purpose. How rigorous were the tests of performance or data were analyzed? You will need an opinion on the literature, on your reviews, how good or bad it is. So then accordingly, you have to decide about review of literature. Next. This development of theoretical and conceptual framework, that is nothing, just simple. It all depends upon the objectives of the studies. Next. Then clarification of the research questions. Sometimes you lack sufficient questions. Conceptual framework has identified problems. Sometimes what happens, they are supposed you have framed 4 objectives. What as expert we ask the candidate, please show me the results your objective wise. The objective wise results should be clearly shown in the PhD results. Sometimes the researcher, what he do, whatever data he has collected, he compile it and just write in the PhD thesis without knowing either all the objectives or hypotheses have been achieved or not. So be careful in achieving the objective what you have written in your objectives of the study. Next. So research design, when you are designing, what data do I need to collect to answer this question? Now, recently I tell you, about 10 days back, I was invited by some university for pre-PhD presentation. The candidate has compiled the whole of the thesis. When I was asking him the objective of the title of the thesis, matching with the data what he has collected, that was all mismatch. The topic was she is to collect the questionnaire from the market, whereas the thesis was done only on the secondary based data. She has already spent 5 years in the research. Now the question came what we should do. So to help the candidate, I requested as expert to the Vice Chancellor, as a special case, please change the topic. At this stage, only then it is possible. Otherwise, she has to spend 1 or 2 years more to collect the data, then again analyze it. So the question is, the objectives and the title and the data which you have collected, all these things should match together. Otherwise, at the later stage, you will find a lot of difficulties. Next. Leave next. So this is data collection. Now, again, the question is data collection which you have collected, it is reliable or not? Because there are a lot of data that are available in the markets. So the authenticity of the data should be seen before it is applied in your thesis. Next. This is data analysis again, depend upon the tools which you have applied. Now here, big problem which we are facing in these days, that is when as expert, we go for the viva of the students, we ask them, I simply ask them 1 or 2 questions. You have applied this technique. Please tell me why this technique is applied. Second question is, what is the interpretation of this technique? Now, most of the students, they fail to answer these 2 or 3 basic questions. Reason is, most of the data in these days is analyzed with the help of certain experts. Experts analyze the data, they hand over the analysis sheet to the candidate. Candidate write all these things in the PhD thesis without knowing either this technique is feasible or not. What is the interpretation of these data? So please, whenever you apply any tools, just for the sake of application of the tool, don't apply it until and unless it is important, it is relevant for a particular topic. So this is the main problem which you are finding. I have gone to different universities and hardly you can say 5 to 10% of the students, they are able to answer this question. Otherwise, they say, sir, we have taken the help from certain outside experts, and on the basis of that, we have written the techniques. So please, before applying the tool, see either it is relevant, and then what is the interpretation of this technique should be clearly known to the researcher. Next. So all these conclusions is again, as I told in the beginning, that the conclusions must be applicable in your practical field. Maybe one suggestion, you have given say 15 suggestions, even if one suggestion is applicable to the corporate world or to the government or in the area in which you have done the study, your work is achieved. So this is what we say, that is your achievement has been done. Next. Now we say paper writings, just I can brief the next. There are certain tips which you can remember. Writing in the research paper, you have to communicate to the editor. Sometimes it is rejected, sometimes it is revision, sometimes it is major revisions. Now the question is, when you are writing any articles, there are 2 types of articles. One is secondary database, one is your primary database. Secondary database data is very easy to write, but generally in the journals, if you collect small sample and then you write a paper, that is mostly acceptable by different research journals. So try to write an articles or the journals in which you collect the primary data, maybe a small survey you have done. Try to find out the topic which is current scenario, which is applicable to the current problem in the industry. Like what is the effect of this COVID-19 on this different stock market, gold markets, or mutual funds, like for the commerce student, on the education sector. These are the current topics on the medical sectors. So on this type of axis, you should try to write the articles. Next. Then general tips, select a new topic, read about 5 to 6 papers before writing a journals, and do not copy from the others, because a large number of softwares are available in the market where you write down copying things that will indicate immediately. Now 5 to up to 10% plagiarism is allowed. If it is more than 10%, it is not acceptable any journal. Then if your language is weak, try to get the experts' knowledge on the writing of the language part also. Next. Regarding plagiarism, as everyone knows, that there is a strict guideline by the UGC on this plagiarism aspect, that any PhD thesis up to 10% is acceptable. If it is more than 10 to 20%, it is revised. If it is more than 20 to 30%, it is rejected. So plagiarism aspect has to be taken very careful. But now, again, I have a very bad experience in this aspect also. When a student researcher finds that plagiarism is more than 10%, there are softwares. They put that paragraph of the page on the software and the plagiarism is reduced. But actually, when we read those pages, we could not find even a single sentence relevant what the page or the author wants to say. जिसको कहते हैं ना पंजाबी में, उसकी पेज की जड़ मारी जाती है, कुछ नहीं समझ लगता कि उसने क्या लिखा है. जस्ट टू सेक द प्लेगरिज्म उस पेज के अंदर सॉफ्टवेयर लगा देते हैं. और हमारे जैसे जब वो पीएचडी थीसिस को लिखते हैं रिपोर्ट, वी राइट ऑल दिस पॉइंट्स स्पेशली इन द रिपोर्ट, एंड व्हेन द वाइवा इज देयर, then candidate is in trouble. So please don't do that type of things in the software. Change the language. Try to write in your originals, or at least even if you have done the software, try to so this problem we are facing in these days. So sometimes I have to reject the thesis only on this ground that I could not find from the 15 or 20 page after going through what the author wants to say. Not even a single line is read, or you can say concept is clear. So please be careful on this plagiarism aspect also. Next. So now another aspect which has come specially for the sciences, that is research and publication ethics. Since you have started this research center in the college, now there are certain papers which the student has to complete in the coursework. Now this another paper which has been introduced, that is 2-credit course with emphasis on the research publication ethics. I will request Dr. Ajay to constitute an research ethics committee in your college, which will look after all these aspects before publication of any patents, copyrights, or any articles or PhD thesis, to take care of in your plagiarisms in this research ethics. So the new concept which has been added by the government to improve upon this ethics part also. Next, there are different topics which are covered under this, which you will cover under your next, which you are going to cover under your courseworks in this 2-credit course. These are the topics which you have to cover. Next, these are the syllabus part you can consider. Next. Now I have just, for the student of commerce and management, I have developed certain areas. That is, when they want to find out certain problem regarding finding of the topics, I have given certain areas where they can do the research. That is new product development research, brand equity, pricing strategies, distribution channels, like this big list in the area of marketing. Next, in the area of HR, then in the area of organization climate, capital market, and then certain miscellaneous topics. I have prepared a list which can help the researcher to find out the area how they can find out. There is research on consumer behaviors, research on market segmentations. So all this effective resource of recruitment, training, leadership, like these different areas, because in these days the main difficulty is funding of the topic. To make them easy for the students, I have tried to develop certain areas where the student can focus. Like in these days, students are doing a topic on capital structure, dividend policies. एक बच्चे ने क्या किया, कैपिटल स्ट्रक्चर पे एक सीमेंट की कंपनी ले ली, एक ने ऑयल कंपनी ले लिया, किसने कुछ और ले लिया. Base is the same. They have done 5-6 theses. Similarly, dividend policies, mergers, acquisitions, all this big list I have prepared. If there's a need, the presentation is with you. Dr. Kapil can, if any student want, you can give them for their future guidance, which can help them in deciding a topic. So this is regarding the areas which they can decide. So I think this is all about what I want to share. If there's any question for the students, I will be ready to give answers to the students. Thank you very much.
I will request participants, if there is any query, then please ask. You can unmute yourself and ask the question if you have any.
Please share the PPT of sir with us.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Which slide, ma'am?
Research topic.
Research topic, right.
Instead, sir, you can share with us the full PPT.
I think they want the complete list of the articles with them.
Okay.
They
So
want-
this PPT is already with SD College, so anyone can access it.
Or you can share the topics to the all the participants if this will help facilitate them for their future research.
Sir, I have a little doubt,
Yes,
not
yes.
exactly doubt. What I have observed, which I want to share with you. I don't know if you will agree with it or not. What are your thoughts? I want to know on it.
What is the question?
Sir, actually, I am a teacher also and a research scholar also.
In the area of
Sir, in the area of HRM, I am
Okay.
in. But
Yes.
basic ये सबकी research से related है मेरा ये doubt.
बोलिए.
मैंने ये notice किया है that main work of teachers is teaching and research work so that they can contribute.
ठीक है.
But recently I have seen that teachers are made to be involved in various other activities randomly. Government comes up with another program, another something, only formalities. Do this with students just for there is lot of record making only is going on. And I do feel that teachers are, by this, they are distracted. They could not do quality work of teaching as well as research. And they are, what do you think? What is the purpose of what the government is trying to do or the authorities are trying to do through this?
No.
They are making us involved, our mind in some other basic random
देखो मैडम
activities.
ऐसा है कि I am also sitting as a vice chancellor. My faculty is more involved as compared to the government sector in all other activities. Because this work has to be done by the teachers. We can't employ so much of staff. I agree that they are disrupted, but still they have to manage each and everything by balancing the quality of work life. They have to
Yes, sir,
balance
yes.
they have to balance the work as well as the research. They have to sacrifice their other activities at the cost of the research. They have to do.
Yes, sir, yes.
I agree that their
Yeah.
time is spent, but that is also the process of learning. If you are not learn, tomorrow you become a principal of a college. How you will run the college without knowing all these basic activities?
Yes, sir,
I
yes.
just tell you, I was in the Punjab University in Department of Commerce and Management for 40 years. And जो भी काम यूनिवर्सिटी में किसी को नहीं होता था वो राकेश गुप्ता जी को दे देते, इनको दे दो, जो फजूल का काम है, जितने सेमिनार कराने, कॉन्फ्रेंस कराने और कराने, फाइनेंस का काम करना, सब मुझे देते रहे. Now I am learning whatever I have learned during these 40 years by doing different activity which no other teacher was doing. Now I am getting benefit of all these experiences.
Yes, sir.
So this
Okay,
is the
sir.
experience. If you
Yeah.
will not do this activity, how you will gain the experience? Tomorrow you will have to face all these things. You have to execute it. So I agree.
Yeah.
ठीक है, 3 साल में नहीं होगी, 4 साल में हो जाएगी. PhD यही होगा ना,
Yes,
और तो
sir,
कुछ नहीं
yes.
होगा. तो PhD तो करनी है, रिसर्च पेपर भी लिखनी है, बुक्स भी लिखनी है. I always
Yes,
motivate my teachers in the university. Please write articles. अब हमने क्या किया, स्कीम इंट्रोड्यूस की है कि जो कोई पेपर लिखेगा उसको इतना मोटिवेशन फाइनेंशियल इंसेंटिव मिलेंगे. उसके स्कोपस के अलग अलग हमने बना दिए हैं. कोई FDP करेगा उसको अलग मोटिवेशन फाइनेंशियल इंसेंटिव मिलेंगे. So we have introduced one financial
Yes,
scheme
sir,
also,
yes.
but you have to do everything. Don't think कि ये काम बेकार का है. ये बेकार का काम दुनिया में कोई नहीं होता. सब काम यूजफुल है, कहीं ना कहीं काम आएगा वो.
नहीं
वो
sir, I think I do enjoy it when there are activities with students and all, but then I think to myself,
अटेंडेंस
yeah,
पूरी
that
करनी है.
what am I doing?
I
Am
know,
I
I know.
wasting my time? Important time क्या मुझे research करते होना चाहिए था या मैं बच्चों को लेके बैठी हूँ? Like that.
कोई बात
मतलब एक
You have to
question खुद से हो
you have
जाता
to
है.
balance. You have to balance both the things. You have to manage.
Okay,
You have to manage.
okay, thank
You
you,
have to
sir.
compromise with both the things.
Yes,
अब
thank you,
मान लो
sir.
डॉक्टर है, कहते हैं डॉक्टर ऑपरेशन नहीं करेगा, पढ़ाई भी क्लास भी लेने जाता है टीचर. अब डॉक्टर स्टूडेंट्स को
Yes, sir,
पढ़ाने भी
yes.
जाता है. कोई इमरजेंसी आ जाए, मैं छोटी छोटी इंजेक्शन भी लगाएगा और काम भी करता है. तो वी हैव टू डू ईच एंड एवरी एक्टिविटी.
Yes, sir, yes.
बोल्ड हो जाओ, तैयार रहो, कोई काम करने घबराना नहीं है, डरो नहीं.
Okay, sir.
हाँ जी.
Sir, I hope many of the students and participants would be interested in interacting with you on various issues related to PhD. But
मैं किसी दिन कॉलेज आ जाऊंगा आपके कॉलेज में.
Yeah.
आपके जो नए PhD स्कॉलर है ना,
yes, sir.
उनके साथ इंटरेक्शन कर लेंगे. इस दिन आके प्रैक्टिकल एक्सपीरियंस सारा जो है वो बता देंगे.
So that would be a great and wonderful opportunity for the participants, I think.
No problem. I can come any day. No problem. आज भी virtual होता तो I would be happy to discuss over in the classroom. But since it is online, so there is no alternative.
Right. Sir, I think you covered the very core of research, the fundamental steps and objectives and other things. And more importantly, the challenges that students face while doing PhD or while their PhD synopsis or thesis is processed. So it was an important learning. I think an important takeaway for all of us is that the answer no is still an answer, because many times we become fussy of finding some significant answers. We think that only significant answer is the best answer. So you made us aware about these things. And sir, we will also be considering it to form a committee on research ethics, because we are new to research. We have just got research center, so we would be definitely trying to do more and more with it. So definitely it would be on cards to form a committee related to it. Sir, now I will request Dr. Meeru Sehgal, Dean, Department of Commerce, GGDST College, to pay thanks to you.
A very good evening. Am I audible, Dr. Kapil?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
A very good evening, Professor R.K. Gupta ji, Vice Chancellor, Maharaja Agrasen University, Principal Dr. Ajay Sharma ji, and my dear participants. Thank you very much, sir. It has always been a pleasure to listen to you, being an old student of yours when you were visiting us in UBS and while being the chairperson of USO. Sir, you have explained in a very clear, in a lucid manner, the steps in the research process, right from the selecting of the topic with examples, which I'm sure our participants would have got it, because while choosing the topic is of utmost importance. And these pitfalls would be avoided once you've explained with the examples. Then selecting the topic, review of literature, to the synchronization of objectives, research methodology, and finally the analysis and conclusions. Also, sir, the linkage that you expressed between the research and the industry is very important, because just merely doing research and having our thesis books kept in a corner in the library is not going to serve the purpose. So this linkage is very much desired while choosing or selecting the topic, then only it can be made. And yes, this research, the thesis that is going to be done, it should be definitely having a value for the society. And it was an honor to have you amongst us, sir, because our participants have learned a lot about the practical aspect of writing a thesis. And your suggestion about our business and research committee is certainly very welcome and valuable. Our participants have gained a lot, and especially the ones, they're asking this dilemma of being a teacher and doing research is there in everybody's mind in the colleges, because main aspect being teaching now, but with the research center being allocated. So this shift has to be there, and this dilemma you have explained very well, sir, and motivated them to do the research part. Thank you very much, sir, once again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Meru Sehgal, ma'am.
Thank you, Kapil.
The team business research plasma worked for, I think, extended hours many times to make SEM clear to the students. Many times I know that they were working for even up to 8 or 9 o'clock solving the problems of the students. So I think it would be appropriate to invite someone to give feedback on this program, sir. So I will invite Ms. Nazia Gera to give feedback on structure equation modeling program.
Good evening, everyone. For my personal experience, I was in the process of measurement instrument development, and at such a crucial stage, this workshop actually came as a great guidance. A lot of my concepts regarding EFA, CFA, reliability issues, measurements, the scales that we should adapt or adopt, they got clarified really nicely, and I'm sure this would be the same experience with all my fellows also. All the resource people addressed even the basic of the queries with so much diligence. I had a lot of the questions which I thought were silly, but then the resource people have dealt with them very nicely. Thank you so much for organizing the workshop, and thank you to all the resource people to actually addressing all the queries.
Thank you, Nazia. Thanks a lot. Now I will like to invite Dr. Meru Sehgal again, who would be troubling you, ma'am, to introduce the team members and also to pay a vote of thanks. Dr. Meru Sehgal, ma'am. Ma'am, please unmute.
Yeah, I've unmuted myself. Thank you very much, Kapilji. As I've said already in my first culmination of the first day of the session, that research is the spine of any institute. So this research methodology workshop was much needed and much awaited. And now I can add to it, it is certainly added to our, skill sets. And thank you so much for that, Dr. Rishi Raj Sharma ji. And I would like to say a few lines about Dr. Rishi Raj Sharma ji, who has conducted this workshop and with his team very successfully. Dr. Rishi Raj Sharma ji is working as a professor in the Department of Business Management with expertise in marketing and business modeling. He has been designated as the Dean of Guru Nanak Dev University Regional Campus, Gurdaspur. With 21 years of teaching and research experience, he has contributed 65 plus quality research publication. His H index is 7. His citations are over 100. He also has 2 books to his credit, namely Ethical Dimensions in Advertising by LA Publishers, Germany, and Sustainable Marketing, again by Emerald Insight. He has guided 6 PhDs already, while 10 students currently continue to work under his guidance. He successfully organized, chaired, and attended 168 plus online and offline conferences and workshops. Being passionate about research, Professor Rishi Rajji pioneered a society, namely Business Research Plasma, along with eminent researchers and academicians from different universities and management institutes, with a vision to improve research standards and create opportunities for young researchers by paving their research work in the right direction. Now it's a registered society, and several workshops on business modeling and statistical tools have already been organized under the aegis of BRP. The present workshop, of course, being conducted on structural equation modeling, has also been conducted in collaboration with the researchers of Business Research Plasma under the advisorship of Professor Rishi Raj Sharma ji. My thank you would not be complete if I would not mention the rest of the members who have contributed richly to our our knowledge in gain regarding the research workshop. And Dr. Amanjot Singh Syan, he discussed the exploratory and confirmative factor analysis. Again, something which we all needed at this juncture when we are in the 3rd year of our research. Then Dr. Atul Shiva, who taught the participants hypothesis testing by bootstrapping process. I think one of our participants is doing some work on this using this particular hypothesis process, and discussed blindfolding process in assessment of formative construct measurement model. Then Dr. Sandeep Singh ji, he discussed about the mediation effects and moderation effects. And he also discussed about the performance metric analysis and bibliometric analysis, which again, our research scholars were telling us that they required. And Dr. Jeevan Jyoti ji, he talked about the goodness of fit indices and path analysis. And of course, last but not the least, how to publish in leading journals. This was again one need which was addressed, which we require for our educational ranking institutions, because NIRF and NAAC, they both emphasize on research papers being published in leading journals of Emerald and of course Scopus Index journals. Thank you very much, sir, again. And I would also like to thank in the same breath the organizing team and the technical team and the participants for being so enthusiastic and so participative. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Dr. Merusagal ma'am. As we say that all good things finally come to an end, this marks the end of the valedictory session, and I will thank chief guest and Business Research Plasma team and all the participants who were there. Thanks to all of you. And